Today's lesson we'll be covering rate of change and slope. Today's objective. Students will be able to determine the slope of a line given a graph and or two ordered pairs. So rate of change is defined as the change in the dependent variable over the change in the independent variable. Our key terms for today's lesson. The slope of a line measures the steepness of a graph. To calculate the slope, you must first find the quotient of the rise over the run of the line. The rise measures the vertical change, or the change in the y coordinates between 2 points, and the run measures the horizontal change, or the change in the x coordinates between 2 points. So let's talk about slope. How steep is the steepest roller coaster? So these are some very steep roller coasters. This roller coaster from Knott's Berry Farm. The Magnum has a very steep slope to it. The Superman slope in Magic Mountain is very steep. The Accelerator in Knott's Berry Farm, and the Son of Beast in Kings Island, Ohio. These are completely vertical. They have vertical slopes. We're going to talk about the different types of slopes. Imagine a roller coaster going from left to right. So you see the slopes going up and down, up and down. Those are the fun roller coasters. There are 4 different kinds of slopes the roller coasters can encounter that you'll see. There's the uphill roller coaster. That's the anticipatory type roller coaster where you're getting excited first. We call that a positive slope. It is increasing. It is increasing your excitement. Then we have the downhill slope.
Negative.
Or the negative slope. That's when all the excitement starts rushing out. So we have a negative slope. And then we have 2 special cases. The kiddie slope, as we call it. We call it the zero fun roller coaster. And then the very scary roller coaster.
Boring.
So that's the kiddie roller coaster, the horizontal slope. What kind of slope do you think that has? Zero fun, zero slope. Okay? And then we have the scary slope. That's the really scary roller coaster, so the slope is undefined. Okay? So now, for the following slides, I want you to call out whether the slope is positive, negative, zero, or undefined. Wait for the count of 3 before you say your answer.
Negative.
Very good. That's a negative slope. 1, 2, 3. That is a positive slope. It is increasing. 1, 2, 3.
Boring.
That is our boring slope, our zero fun slope, our zero slope. And then that is our undefined slope. So now, let's figure out how do we calculate the slope of a graph of a line. There are 3 easy steps we're going to follow. We're going to pick 2 points on a line. We're going to calculate the rise over the run. And then we're going to determine what sign we put on the slope. So, step 1, we have to find 2 points on the grid line intersections. So let's first talk about the grid line intersections. This point is okay because it is on the grid lines. This point is okay because it's touching the grid line. It's touching a corner. See how this point is touching a corner also? And then this point is touching a corner. So these points are okay because they're all touching the corners of our grid. This one is not okay because it's not touching a grid line. This one is not okay. It's touching the x-axis, but it's not in a corner. See, this one is touching the grid line also, but it's not touching a corner. So they must touch corners of the grid lines. Okay? Now, let's calculate the slope. Slope is represented by the letter M. It is our vertical change divided by our horizontal change. Okay? Or rise over run. And then we're going to look to see if it's increasing or decreasing. If it's increasing, we will have a positive slope for a plus sign. Or decreasing, we'll have a negative slope for a negative sign. All right, let's do one. Model number 1. Watch me do the 3 steps. I'm going to choose 2 points. I'm going to choose 0, -1, and 1, 1. So if I start right here, I'm going to do my rise. I'm going to go up 2. So my rise is a positive 2. And I'm going to run 1. So my rise is 2. My run is 1. I see that my slope is going uphill. So my slope will be a positive 2. So my slope is positive 2. Okay? Let's test this one out. Choose by 2 points. I'm going to choose 2, 0 and -1, 1. My rise, I'm going to go up 1 and left 3. When I do that, my rise was 1, my run was 3. I look at my graph. My graph is going downhill. I know a downhill graph represents a negative slope. So I know that my slope will be a -1/3. All right, let's do this one. Okay, give you time to think on this one. 2 points. We can choose 0, 0 and 3, 3. Let's do rise over run. We're going to go up 3, rise 3. Oh, I'm sorry, and that's 2, 3. So we're going to go up 3, run, rise 3, run 2. Rise 3, run 2. Our graph, our line is going uphill. That tells us we have a positive slope. Our sign will be a positive 3/2. Okay? Practice number 4. Okay, think, pair, share. Choose 2 points. Okay, here we're going to go rise 1, run 3. Our rise was 1, our run was 3. We know that our line is going downhill. That tells us we have a negative slope. So we have a -1/3. Okay, very good. So now for independent practice, you'll have more practice to go through. Same thing, you label your rise, up, rise 1, run 5, your slope is 1/5. Now, if you don't want to use those words uphill, downhill, and you want to get into the integer concept of slope, you can. Look at these examples. This is using our integer concepts. So here we have our 2 points. What are we doing here to find the slope? We're still calculating slope using rise over run. Here we did what? We went up 5. That represents a positive 5. So our rise is a positive 5. Then we went left 4. If we move 4 to the left, what integer is that? That represents a negative 4, and we move 4 to the left. Our slope is still negative 5/4. And guess what? If you don't want to do it that way, there's another way you could do it on the same graph. So what integer is that representing if you started at that point? Well, here I went down 5. So if you go down 5, what integer does that represent? Down 5 represents a negative 5 in your rise, since you went down 5. And then you went right 4. So your run is a positive 4. But guess what? You still end up with negative 5/4 as your slope. So all it's going to take is you practicing which method you choose to use. If you want to use your uphill and downhill vocabulary, you can. Or if you want to use your integer-based learning, you can. Integer-based words, you can. Either way you decide to use it, you will still be able to calculate the slope using the rise over run concept. Okay? So you'll be able to get with your partner, you have partner practice, where you'll be able to discuss the steps of finding the slope of a line from a graph, and you'll work on a partner practice for 15 minutes in your level 1 voice. Okay, and you'll calculate rise over run. So to wrap up, we talked about rate of change, we talked about slope, the 4 types of slope, positive, negative, 0, and undefined. We talked about rise over run, and in the future we're going to talk about our slope formula when we only have 2 coordinates. Okay? And then after you finish your partner practice, we will do our exit ticket. Okay? Thank you for today's lesson.